this, that I believe wholeheartedly that we are all divine creative beings, and that the highest quality of life is incredibly full of art and all kinds of creative expression. And I think that if each one of us here listening to this would ask ourselves, do I have a form of creative expression in me? We might have different answers. Some might say without a doubt, and others might say, nope, don't have a creative bone in my body. I hear that a lot from people, like, I'm not creative. But I really believe that we all are. We all have been given this gift. We might just, maybe we're not looking at it from that lens. So if you think about every choice we make every day, we are creating our lives. So you might look at the way you cook, that's creative expression. The way you garden, the way you write, maybe in music, maybe you produce music or you sing or you play an instrument. It's a creative expression. The way you decorate your house, maybe the way you put the pillows on the couch, the way you adorn your body with clothing or jewelry, the way you manicure your yard or arrange your garage. Like, it's all creative expression. And so we all have this creative expression inside of us. Somewhere along the journey of life, the word art comes up, and art and creativity get lumped together, and people are like, no, like, I'm not artistic. And so, but we are in so many ways that we don't really even give ourselves credit for it. So I think the spark of life is creativity. And out of so much creativity, we've had so many of modern conveniences were invented out of creativity. So many of life's challenges require creative solutions. And you all are very good at this, but maybe you're not giving yourself credit for that. You're all very good at creative problem solving. And I believe that creativity in all of its many forms can change the way we think and the way we operate. So our creative spirit is what creates change. It helps us break out. It helps us get unstuck or perhaps attract new opportunities. Our creative spirit is what keeps us, let's say, motivated and challenged to go on. So if you think about during this past year, the upheaval that has happened in our lives, I've really sat back and have enjoyed watching myself and others that I know, and even people I don't know, watching people out of necessity having to tap into their creative abilities. And you see it, I know you've seen it in people that maybe own their own business, and they have to come up with creative solutions to keep it afloat, to keep it going. You see the creative measures that our teachers have had to take in with schooling. It's sometimes it's online, then it's in school, then it's a hybrid, and they've had to be really creative on how can we continue to offer education to our children. Maybe you've seen it in something simple like the way you grocery shop, and we had to get creative. How are we going to get food to people? How can people get food? And so these are just a few things that we've all been, whether we know it or not, creativity has been knocking, like, you can figure this out. And so it is a God-given blessing, this creative problem solving ability and creative expression that we all have. So creativity is inside of all of us. It spills out in experimenting. It spills out in inventing or taking risks. You would also, I could say that it spills out in exploring, in coloring outside of the lines. It spills out in making mistakes, and it spills out in having fun and not overthinking things, as you mentioned, Angie. So one of my favorite quotes is from Maya Angelou. She says, life is pure adventure. And the sooner we realize that, the quicker we will be able to treat life as art. I love that. We'll be able to treat life as art. So right now, I'm going to invite you, we're going to go into a micro meditation, or a time to contemplate just a few questions. So wherever you're at, I just invite you to sit comfortably and maybe place the soles of your feet on the ground if that's doable for you wherever you're at. Just make sure you're comfy. And then just simply let the eyes close if you're comfortable with that. And if not, you can just slightly cap the eyes and look downward with a soft gaze. I invite you to take a moment here to think about your life as a work of art. You get to create a masterpiece. You have been creating a masterpiece. From a place of kindness and compassion, ask yourself the question, do I like what I've created so far? Do I like what's in the works? Maybe there's some creative project or next phase or step in your life that you've been thinking about. Maybe you're embarking upon something new, creating a new chapter, perhaps. Do you like what's in the works? And then simply ask this question, what makes you feel most alive? What makes you feel most alive, or what feeds your soul? Could be walking in nature, could be creating, could be hanging out with your children or grandchildren, could be singing. What makes you feel alive? And then the last question, if you were to look and imagine having a canvas in front of you, this canvas is the masterpiece of your life thus far. See your life in colors, and black and white is acceptable. What colors are on your canvas at this time? Look at this masterpiece. Is there a theme of some particular color, or maybe it's the rainbow of colors? There's no wrong answer, there's no right answer. Maintaining your awareness inside with the eyes closed. I want to share with you that years ago, one of my teachers said something to me that I'll never forget. He said, your choices shape your life. You, my dear, are an artist. Your life is the canvas, and intention is your paintbrush. If you'd like to easily create a life you love living, I encourage you to practice the art of setting powerful intentions, he said. The right intention will magnetize the support of the entire universe to help you create a life you love. And this intention will help create it faster and easier than you ever dreamed possible. It's a great way to co-create with life itself. So when you meditate, always take a few minutes to co-create, to create this masterpiece of your life by setting an intention of what it is you desire to create. And then just slowly allow your eyes to open. So the process of creating anything is about change, growth, transformation, and trust. And also this process of creating can make us feel really vulnerable. Like, what will others think? What if I don't measure up? Who do I think I am to be an artist or to be creating? So the critic shows up many times when we start to go into our creative expression. And every time you step up to create, whether it's to a canvas or even if you step into your meditation, you have an opportunity to let go, to seize the adventure, to be brave, and to embrace the mystery. Because really, we don't know what we're going to be able to create. Life is such a mystery. You have the opportunity to also offer yourself a little patience and grace, because masterpieces take a while. They're not, they don't happen in a week or a month. We know we need to be patient with what we're wanting to create. So when you create, you will not only tap into a deeper level of inspiration, of confidence, of intuition, but you'll begin to see how life supports your success when you step into your creative power and your authentic expression. And I always say that creativity invites us to step up and embrace the adventure of this one and only life that we have. So, on a personal note, I said that I would mention just briefly about my personal journey with art, and I uh, right now I've allowed myself to step up. Taken me a few years to say I'm an artist, and to even when Angie introduced me that I'm an artist, I was still like, really? Am I? Yep. There's that. But I'm an artist. Yay! And so are you. All of us. Like, we're all creating. Um, I have no official training in art. None, zero. As a matter of fact, I was thinking back in high school, I used to cheat in art. Like, I was not good at art, and I would have a friend who was really good, and I would ask him if he would draw things for me, and then I'd color them in. That was horrible, but I got through art, but I'm like, what? So I was turning 50, and I said to myself one cold winter day, I need a hobby. Like, I need a hobby. As I get older, I need something that fills my soul, and I have to get a hobby. So I went to Michael's, the craft store, and not knowing a darn thing, I bought some canvases, I bought some acrylic paints and paintbrushes, and took it home, put it out on the dining room table, and said, I'm gonna paint. I'm gonna start painting. I popped up YouTube, because you can learn anything on YouTube. Put on a couple art classes, watched them, and then looked at the canvas and was paralyzed. Paralyzed with perfectionism, scared to death of a 10 by 10 canvas, a white blank canvas. And then all the thoughts came in like, what if I waste this canvas? What if what I do is not pretty enough to hang on the wall? Or it's not good enough? What if I waste this paint? Like, this paint costs money. Like, I don't want to waste this paint in this canvas. I don't even know what I'm doing. And then the critic came in. Who do you think you are that can be an artist or start to paint? And I, because of meditation, I'd been meditating for about a year prior to this. I really sat back and kind of chuckled at myself. I was aware of, like, oh my goodness, listen to the dialogue, the chatty patty going inside, like, who are you and all this. And I kind of laughed at it. But at the same time, I was super frustrated. Like, oh, what have I gotten myself into? I spent money on all this and now I don't know what to do. So I found this course online called Creatively Fit, and it helped me so much. And it helped me in so many ways. I'm going to sum it down to one. It helped me realize the benefit of the process and not the product. And in this class, I'm like Angie, we geek out on like what can help the brain and what can help the nervous system. And in this class, she talked about how when we're creating, we shift to our right brain, and we can't be stressed when we're in our right brain. And so one of the techniques that we did in this class was super simple. It was taking a little canvas, put it on a card table somewhere where you see it every day, or put it in your laundry room somewhere. And every single day, it was called the daily paint. You painted on the same canvas. Some days I would just put a heart on it or just cover the whole thing up. But for 30 days, we painted on the same canvas. It was just the process of opening up the paint, doing something and that's it. It wasn't about trying to create anything. And that set me free. It was like, oh. And then after that, I took a couple courses on intuitive painting and just really tapping in. And I have to say that my creative potential bubbled up the more I meditated, the more I got out of my own way. And these things started coming out of me, these beautiful pieces of art. Like, where is this coming from? I don't know. I didn't go to school for art, but it is inside of me. And I found myself, fast forward now, I still feel a little vulnerable when I'm sharing my art with the world, but I do it anyway because I know how much joy it brings me. And how much joy my art has brought to other people. And I also feel, and you guys, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, meditators, but I felt like meditation not only brought forth my creative potential, but I feel like meditation allows me to walk through the world and see the world through the eyes of my heart. And we know the heart, yeah, it's like kindness, compassion. Um, and it's so, as I walk through the world now, I think about the eyes of my heart. And I think about that when I'm painting. Like if I paint from here, it looks completely different than if I paint from here. Not that this is a bad thing, it just gets in the way a lot. And so before I create anything, I sit in silence. And in that silence, that's where I tap in, I do a little meditation and just open myself up. And my intention is to offer more beauty, more goodness, and more joy through my art. That's my intention. And whatever comes out, comes out. And sometimes I paint over them, and sometimes I sell them. People are wanting to buy my art now. I'm like, I'm an artist. And so I'm really enjoying it. And I think back to my mother. I just connected the dots recently. My mother passed away last year, a long journey of dementia. And my mom started painting in her 50s. She had no official painting, and she just in her 50s started oil painting, took a couple classes. And I didn't connect those dots until not long ago. Like, oh, I followed in the same footsteps and I wasn't even thinking about it. So when I paint, I feel my mom's presence. And that's even another reason why I love to paint, that I feel her joy and I feel her guidance. So I want to guide you now in a meditation. And this is a lovely meditation that will help you tap into your creativity. And I'm looking at the time here too. I want to be very cognizant of the time. So maybe I'll shorten this just a little bit for our parameters here. So wherever you're at, I invite you again to take a comfortable seat or readjust if you need to, getting comfortable. And we'll drop in a little deeper now. So just let the windows of your soul close. Just let your eyelids come down over your eyes if that's comfortable. And if we're interested in tapping into our creativity, it emerges from the quiet. There are entire books written about this. Getting quiet and opening up to it. Practice is simply called sit in the quiet. A creative place of non-doing. So the idea is to stop and to get still and to make space for ideas to arrive. This practice is about making space, plunging into the stillness with the faith and the confidence that from this place, new ideas will emerge. So we'll just let this unfold and see what happens. meeting up with your breath. The next time an inhale arrives, stretch up very gently through your spine. And when the exhale arrives, just think soften, releasing any tension. Softening your forehead, the inner and outer corners of your eyes, your cheeks and your jaw. A sense of ease come down in through your shoulders and down to your hands. And we notice our composure, how we're sitting. Make sure that it's comfortable, yet upright. Open to allow all sounds and thoughts. This practice is really about exploring tranquility and stillness. We will use the breath to anchor us. So to try to feel the breath more fully, we're going to get really, really interested in our out breath. The downward settling motion of the exhale. And at the very end of the exhale, this tiny moment of quietude, this moment of stillness, this little gap before the breath turns around and becomes an inhale. So spend a few moments here focusing on that settling quality and on that moment at the end of the exhale. That little pause right before you fill yourself back up. Focusing just a little while longer here on the exhalation and the end of the exhale. And I'll come back with another prompt about going into stillness a little more deeply. In those little gaps, those little spaces, you might meet up with your creative currency. You might meet up with what feeds your soul or makes you feel alive. Following the breath down to the very, very end of the out breath. Curious, relaxed. Focusing on the breath as we start to get absorbed. Let everything else be in the background. The heartbeat, any ambient sounds. Focusing still on the end of the out breath, this moment of stillness. Exploring the experience of being open and being vulnerable. Notice what that feels like. Vulnerability is not collapsing, it's staying centered in yourself, holding that balance between strength and vulnerability. Vulnerability is the secret sauce of human connection. It really allows us to open enough to actually see the situation for what it is and to live. It lives inside of creativity. Just for another minute here, let yourself dwell in this non-doing state, content with your breath. And now, dear creative soul, usher your awareness back to the place of your heart, a place of deep wisdom and intuition. And trust that your heart knows the next stroke to make on the canvas of your life. Stillness, quiet. Allow us to hear, to access that which makes us feel alive. Your life is a work of art, and you get to create that masterpiece, choice by choice. Beginning to shepherd your mind's awareness back to your breath. Receive a deep breath in at your own time. And slow exhalation, pausing at the very, very end of that for a few moments. And as you are ready, you can begin to slowly transition back, letting the eyes gently begin to open. And we arrive back in the presence of one another. So I hope you enjoyed that little inward journey. And I am so open to any questions or any comments that you would like to share.
That felt really good. I like how we were, like you said, being interested in the out breath and really lingering at that moment of transition between the out breath, the exhale, and the inhale, and that moment of stillness there. It's really beautiful.
Thank you. that's my favorite place. That the spaces between the in and the out, like we put so much emphasis, which is obviously right, on the in and on the out. But I feel like just in my mind, like those pockets between are where I get to pretend that I stop time. Like it's like if you are, I don't know if this is a good example. A roller coaster is very invigorating, but you know how you get to the top and there's like a lingering, like a
Yeah.
before you go over the edge. Like I feel like the breath has that capability. There's the in breath, and then there's a pause, and there's the out breath. I just love those pause places. It's like a little peace pocket in there for me. So thanks for saying that, Angie.
Yes.
Mhm.
I guess, Marsha, I would just be interested in knowing kind of your artistic journey. And so, um, when you sit down to paint something now, it sounds like, you're selling your paintings. Are those always like, does somebody commission you to do a flower, or do they commission you to do a piece that you're willing just to create, or
Good question. Thank you for asking that. A little bit of both. Like I have an art studio now because I'm an artist,
oh.
and and actually, it's my like happy place. I go there. I feel like it's a big old hug. I get lost in that place for hours, and I have many, many paintings that I've done. Like I just paint to paint them, and then if people want to come look at them, they can come look at them. But then I do have some people who say, "Oh, I really like that painting, but it's too big or it's too small. I like that style that you did there. Could you do something like that for me?" And then I have a little procedure that I go through. Sometimes I go to people's homes and I'll, see where they want something and I get to know them a little bit and what they want. I also have this awesome app on my phone that if you would send me the picture of a blank wall in your house that you want something, I can put my art on your wall and send you the picture back. So people go, oh, that looks good there on that wall. And so that's been a great way for people to see what works for them. But many times um, I don't know, I just get a hint of an idea of something and away I go. I mean, if you see the gamut of my art, like I don't have a specific style, it's everywhere. It's a lot of people like my flowers. I do lots of flowers and I also do abstract, and so I also have, you can see on my wall, this was the very first painting I ever did, very first painting I ever sold. And you can see it's a meditator. And actually, Chase, one of the guys from our meditation course who lives in Atlanta, bought this. So this is a copy of the original that I sent to him. And so I don't know, I just have a there's just these ideas that come through and then they come onto the canvas and I don't know if I can ever recreate them again, but if that answers your question.
So you have like a studio that people can walk in and look at your artwork, and
Yeah, I do. I have a lot of it there, and I also have a lot in my house. Like I just hang it in my house until I decide to let go of it. Each piece of art honestly becomes a friend. Like sometimes I have a hard time selling them because every piece of art has a story. It has layers and layers on it, and but I do the art studio. Like it's not all hanging on the wall, but I have them all, there, and people can kind of flip through and look at them. Or I also have a Facebook page called Marsha Creations, and I put a lot of them there. That's where a lot of people see my art. I'm working on a website that will be done hopefully the end of May, and that will combine my yoga, my meditation, and my art. And that's a goal that I want to do, is combine the three of them together in an online workshop or an in-person workshop, because they go so lovely together. A little bit of movement gets us out of our head and into our body. A little bit of meditation opens up the divine channels, and then we just have fun and away we go. paint with our fingers. We do a little dance painting. I just try to get people out of that overthinking process and enjoy it. And I love doing that. So it's super fun. Yeah. So
I see a field trip in my future, in our future.
I know. Now so tell us where your studio is.
It's right downtown Cedar Rapids. If you know where the YMCA is, it's just right there in that same block on 3rd Street. It's in a big old funky warehouse on the corner of 3rd Street and 6th Avenue,
Okay.
right downtown, and right next to the muffler clinic.
Oh.
And that's always, everyone's like, oh, I know where the muffler place is downtown. So it's right there. And the strange thing is I had my yoga studio in that same building for 17 years. And I had this little art studio as a second yoga studio for a while. And then I left and moved my business 4 years ago to another space. And now I ended up back in the same space. I had to close my yoga studio during COVID, unfortunately. So this is my little haven where I get to go and create and just enjoy some time there. So
Sounds fun.
so
Yes.
you guys need to make
Interesting.
a field trip on over. Yeah, it would be fun. Or let you know. Angie can let you know if I get an online course up. That it takes a lot of work. I have an online meditation course, and it's taken me a long time to build that. So, but I hope to do that art down the road. That will be fun. So thank you for this opportunity, Angie. I appreciate it. And
Thank
to
you.
everyone
It's
that's
my
here, thank
pleasure.
you.
Yeah, I just want to say I love you even more now that I know that you cheated in art class.
That's so funny. Yeah, I'd even admit that. I hadn't planned on admitting that, but I think back to when it came to drawing, I really it was not my thing. And my art mate that sat on the table next to me, he was superb. And I would be like, can you just draw this arm for me? And then he would hand it back. So yes.
Great.
But
Well,
I would never do that now. I just don't draw arms.
oh, I think
People.
you're in good company of a bunch of mischief makers. So yeah.
Okay, good.
Right,
Oh,
Teresa?
good.
Yeah.
Thanks
I
so
love it.
much, Marsha.
Yes.
Yes,
You're
thank you.
welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you. And we hope to see you soon. I will definitely, I see a field trip in our future for sure. So if we don't come down there, maybe we'll entice you to come here and do a little weekend workshop
Yeah.
with us.
Have paintbrush, will travel.
Yes.
Yeah, totally. That
Yes.
would be
Thanks,
fun.
my friend.
Yeah.
We'll see you soon.